Hello again, this is Preheat. Today we're going to be covering the other Fire Mage specs. So you probably have seen my Sun Fury video. If you haven't already checked it out, make sure you go watch that one. It really looks awesome. But today we're going to be covering Frostfire Mage. Now I'm not going to talk about each and every one of these talents because these are available on Wowhead. You can go read them there yourself. I'll link it in the description below. But I do want to summarize Frostfire Mage for you so that you understand what we're dealing with here. So the biggest thing about Frostfire is obviously Frostfire Bolt, if you haven't seen it. It is a really awesome spell that combines the power of frost and fire together. This is a returning spell. It used to be back in the game, way back in Wrath of the Lich King, and people are definitely excited to see this one back. We also have the Frostfire Mastery, which means that we have two different buffs that we get depending on which element we use, and then we gain stacks of those buffs, and once we max it out, then we gain other effects. The other notable things that you'll notice with the Frostfire Mage is one, that their barriers are overlapping. So they're going to have both the Frost Barrier and the Molten Barrier at the same time whenever they pop their Molten Barrier. And also, whenever they use any sort of Meteor spell or they proc one, you're going to notice that they also get a Comet Storm. So there's a lot of blue mixed into that fire that you're going to see whenever they're doing their spells. Frostfire may not be as flashy as Sun Fury, but the look of it is unmistakable. And it isn't just the visuals of Frostfire that are distinct. The playstyle also contrasts with Sun Fury, with Frostfire having a playstyle that feels a bit more familiar to current Fire, but with some huge improvements. Most of these come in the form of spell combos that you unlock whenever you get max stacks of your Fire or Frost buffs, but you actually get max stacks every single time you enter Combustion because of a spell called Frostfire Empowerment. So this spell makes it so that you're guaranteed to crit your next Frostfire Bolt. It's going to be instant cast, and it's going to deal additional damage to nearby enemies. And it's also obviously going to give you those max stacks. But we get this from every single Sun King's Blessing, every single Temporal Anomaly. Every time you press Combustion, you're going to get this instant cast Frostfire Bolt, and all you have to do is spend it, and you're going to get excess Frost and excess Fire. These are buffs that basically add new combos, new effects to your current abilities. So Phoenix Flame is going to have Ice Nova. It's also going to give you cooldown reduction on Meteor. Excess Fire is going to give you Living Bomb, and it's also going to give you cooldown reduction on Phoenix Flame. And remember, Meteor cooldown reduction means that we also get a Comet Storm as well. And of course, having an instant cast Fireball that's guaranteed to crit is just really good in general. Having all this extra haste and guaranteed crit also means that you just generate a lot more heating ups, more hot streaks, which means you generate your SKB faster, and more SKBs means more Frostfire empowerments. I found that whenever I was playing this, the main thing I kind of needed to work on was just getting those procs out. It felt like it was almost hard to get my Phoenix Flames and Fire Blast out, and also make sure I use all my Frostfire empowerments, and just using all of that without overcapping on SKB. It really does feel like you're just kind of using all of your procs. There's a lot more that's lighting up. I guess the best way to describe it is it's almost like a combination between Frost Mage and Fire Mage, because on one hand, you're still playing the regular Fire rotation, you're doing the SKB rotation, but then on top of that, you're also dealing with a lot of procs, right? It feels like Frost with the amount of procs that you're doing, the amount of spells you need to get out between each cooldown set, and the spells you need to get off inside the cooldowns. Obviously, Meteor you want to have Combustion up for because you also have the Comet Storm, and it's just a ton of damage. So yeah, I'd say overall, there's a lot more going on here than current Mage. I think in some ways it's going to be easier to play because there's going to be a lot more mobility. You've got a lot more instant casts. But also it's going to be a lot more buff tracking too. So Blizzard has said that they're trying to reduce the complexity and the amount of buffs that you're tracking as a mage. We've obviously also seen some new talents, but none of those are playable yet. So we kind of just have to make some assumptions about what Frost Fury is going to look like based on the current version of Mage that's available in the alpha. So I'm going to walk you through the opener that I've kind of been playing around with as Frostfire, but first I'm going to explain something that's kind of important to note here. So there's actually a bug that I found where whenever you're casting Frostfire Bolt, you don't seem to be able to proc Frostfire Empowerment. So for this reason, you're going to see me very often entering Combustion by casting some other spell. And because of this, I'm actually going to open up with a Pyroblast. I'm going to combust during that Pyroblast and finish the cast with a Frostfire Bolt. And that's going to be instant cast. So the reason for this is mainly I just want to get that Frostfire Empowerment out right away so I can max out my stacks. Maxing out my stacks is also going to amp up my Fire Blast and my Phoenix Flame so that whenever I'm actually in my Combustion doing my opener where my damage is at its highest, I'm also doing additional damage with Ice Novas, Living Bombs. I'm getting cooldown reduction on the Meteor. It just kind of makes sense because the alternative would be either missing a proc or casting a Scorch under double Bloodlust, which would be kind of bad to do. So to show this again, I precast Power Blast, Combust, and then use Frostfire Bolt, and that gives me a Hot Streak, and I use the Hot Streaks. I'm going to alternate between using Fire Blast and Phoenix Flame here, throwing out a Meteor. Just trying to use my procs as quickly as possible while also using all of my Frostfire Empowerment buffs. And you notice it happens really fast. You get a lot of these buffs it's kind of hard to keep up because each time you use that instant cast Frostfire Bolt, you get a Phoenix Flame and a Fire Blast that you also need to use. Obviously, it doesn't reset its cooldown, but you want to get those out. So yeah, there's a lot of buffs to get through. You also have your Meteor that you want to hit while you have Combustion active. You have your Shifting Power that you want to squeeze in there between some combustions. And aside from that, just so many Hot Streak procs, so many Frostfire empowerments. It's kind of hard to keep up, especially with TA. But it feels pretty good to play. I mean, it's kind of like current SKB with just more. There's just a lot more going on here. It looks cooler. There's a lot more mobility here. There's a lot more flavor. The rotation feels kind of similar, but also different. The contrast with Sun Fury is actually kind of crazy because this feels like a very steady damage profile. It feels like you're an uptime spec like SKB currently. You're getting through a lot of cooldowns, just kind of slow and steady getting through it. Combustion is up a lot too. It's very different than Sun Fury. So I think that no matter what sort of playstyle you enjoy as Mage, I think you're going to find something that you like with Fire Mage in the War Within. And if these free living bombs interact with the data mine talents that I have another video on, if you want to go check that one out, if this interacts with those living bombs, then we may even be getting hot streaks from these living bombs. We'll probably be getting a ton more damage from them. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities here. I think we're just kind of scratching the surface here of what Fire Mage is going to end up being in the War Within. And until we actually see those new talents implemented and the hero talents and how they fit on top of them, it's going to be really hard to get an idea of what Mage is going to be like. The possibilities for Fire Mage could be completely out there. So I'm definitely looking forward to Fire Mage in the War Within. I'm looking forward to playing it a lot. In fact, I'm having a lot of trouble kind of picking which one of my characters I want to level first. But I know I'm definitely going to be playing Mage in the War Within. I'm probably going to play Sun Fury. But I would love to hear how you feel about Frostfire. Are you digging the new aesthetic of Frostfire? Are you here for the SKB gameplay? What is it that you like about this hero talent? What is it that you don't like about it? And of course, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.